Then you have some examples that they give about outreach methods that are like in person and also online, which is like so important today. And you have to always tell the public for what did you use the feedback. And in staff reports, you actually see what as a summary of what was said, and at least the summary, many times it doesn't say exactly how it was used. There's the assumption that by reading the summary and looking at the decision, the person will have the next or will make that conclusion. But I always recommend you to like tell the public what we hear from them, not only in terms of a summary that we did this, but also like why this decision was made or this one wasn't made, why this was incorporated or it wasn't incorporated, as opposed to yeah, thank you for your comments. And most times that's what you see, and we have seen previous examples of, like, for example, the letter for the Puerto Rican Housing Authority that I wrote collectively with a group. They will many times say, well, thank you for your comments, and that's it. There's not more engagement there. And many times, you know, as I said before, the planner might not have the answer, but you know, you should put some effort into trying to give your best answer, or getting back if you later on learn what is the answer to that question from someone. I know it's hard, but it's good ethics. There's like some tools that they give in terms of recommendations for creating good public engagement. In this manual, they provide a very nice checklist of things to consider for hosting an event. For example, some of the things that they said is like, is the space large enough to comfortably accommodate this many people? Are we bringing like water, coffee, snacks? Are we going to have like signage sheets? Are we going to, in those signage sheets, are for the email? Are we going to ask people to sign up for our newsletter? Are going to have like name tags in there? How we are going to assemble the chairs? How many staff members will be with us and what they will be doing? Maybe some will be like roaming around the room, welcoming people. Other ones will be like speaking. So everybody will have their role. Maybe we'll have like some hand sanitizer in the signing table, some pens for signing in, and having some cards for comments, or maybe some surveys to give out, maybe some postcard with information with our website, maybe it's information about what is the decision that we are trying to make or the agenda. Thinking about PowerPoint or visual aids, any posters that you might bring that you want to like post in the walls, and just also what each staff member will say and do. There's also some accessibility or ADA considerations. So they ask that if you work for the city, you include this as particular statement. People with disabilities can request reasonable accommodation within 48 hours in advance of the notice. Accommodations might include alternate formats, interpreters, and auxiliary aids. Please contact, and then the name of the person. You can do this also for different languages. There must be an accessible route throughout the event. So, you know, making sure that there's an elevator or there's ramps, and just different things to consider before you schedule a meeting in a place. So in terms of the venues, it actually gives you a list of all the places that you can go in the city. and if it has a cost associated with it, in which district it is, and the district is important because that's how, if you're trying to engage people from that particular district, so that's like in terms of like the representation from the city councilors, but also the community councils are part of those districts as well. So you can tell, well, in this district one, it's like Rose Park and these different community councils. So you think about doing it like nearby. It tells you like if it's like placed at small, medium, or large. It has some contact information. The city also recommends having some coffee chats venues. So which places they have hosted things before. So you can always call and say, hey, I'm from the city, I would like to go to Mestizo Coffee. They have a very nice gallery there. It's one of the only places in the west side for coffee. So you can go there in order to engage people and talk. So I provided a link where all this information from the city is provided, and there are 2 sheets there before you start your public engagement, and then after you have completed your previous engagement. And I just want you to look at those sheets with the information that you need. So of course you will have your project name, the department division, who's the project manager, phone, email, who are part of your court team. Then a brief description of the project. What is the project timeline? What type of project is this? Is this a master plan, a new project, a construction, maybe changing program? What is the goal of the project? Who has signed off or approved this project? This is like if it is outside of your project manager, would be in your department or division or even higher. And then those decision needs to be made. So if so, who makes the final decision? Is it the elected officials? Is it the administration, boards, commissions, work groups, ad hoc committees, and many times it would be like several of these groups that will make the decisions, and all of them will be listed here, including what is the final decision, but it needs to move through that process before it actually can be a final decision. Does this project have a legal requirement to engage the public? Yes or no? How much money do you have or budget for the community engagement process? And give like a rough estimate there. What are the key issues at hand? What is the key message? So what is the goal of the project and what you're trying to say to the public? What is your call to action from the public through the whole process? Who needs to be engaged? What kind of engagement is needed? And then 3 options are provided: consult, involve, and collaborate. So we already know that informing is part of that already, and the city is a little bit hesitant to talk about empowerment as a final goal, just because that's more unlikely to come from participatory process that engage the city. So empowerment, it would be something more like maybe a non-profit organization created a group that is like long-lasting in the community, and maybe at the end this group even started their own non-profit organization. So it's like very few or limited examples, or maybe there's some disagreement as well about what empowerment actually means. So when those outreach needs to happen, what engagement methods will be used? So this is kind of like expanding on the inform, consult, involve, and collaborate. What is the desired outcome for successful engagement? So the plan being approved or whatever it is this a single engagement event or if there will be multiple in a project. How many people are you trying to outreach? So which one is your goal? Have you considered ADA needs as part of the engagement plans? Are you planning to do an online survey? And these are more questions that they ask so they can actually give you support because their office gives you support in these specific things. Do you need graphic design support? Do you need SLC media services support? Will you be using social media for engagement opportunities? Do you anticipate promoting or boosting your social media posts? So they will help you with that. And then when you're done with the project, you need to submit a similar reports. So you will have some of the same information, but you will include like a project timeline, how much should you actually spend on the engagement. Was there any engagement that you wanted to do but you could not afford? And this is a very important question because it can't give direction to the city about what might be needed in the future. Who were the stakeholders that you involved, like how the public was involved. So asking again, like from informing, consulting, involving the public and so on, but which ones you actually use in the end? What were some of the successes of your engagements? What were the obstacles that you encountered? What lessons were learned throughout the engagement process? And what would you do differently in a similar project? And have you reported back to the public what you learned so you can close the loop? What did you hear back after you reported to the public? And was the report back successful? And how you put a report in the website so people can find it. So this is a great resource. I highly encourage you to read the whole guide and actually to look more carefully at this two before community engagement report and after community engagement report.